Okay, so today I'm going to install the harmonic balancer in the 6.5 diesel. Now, as you might expect, it's a difficult thing to put on without the right tools. A lot of people, what they'll do is they'll take the retaining bolt and they'll use it to pull the harmonic balancer on. The problem with that is that when you're starting out, you've only got partial engagement of the threads, and more often than not you're either going to break the bolt or you're going to strip the threads out. Either way, it's a big bunch of trouble. Now the proper way to do it is to take a tool like this. This part threads into the crank, fully engages, and then you put the harmonic balancer over the thick part here and draw it on with another nut. That way you've always got full engagement. So that's what I'm going to do here today. And, hopefully we'll, well, not hopefully, we will have this harmonic balancer installed today. Now, one thing I'll point out with is before you install your harmonic balancer, you do want to use some assembly lube on the seal and on the seal surface on the harmonic balancer. Just to make sure that when you initially start the engine up, you don't burn the seal out right away. Also, if you're reusing your old one, which for a 6.5 diesel is probably not a good idea, make sure that there isn't any wear on the surface of the harmonic balancer. There are sleeving kits available that allow you to put a piece over top of that worn surface there, and I believe it comes with a bigger seal. But for something along the lines of a 6.5 diesel harmonic balancer, they do have a reputation for failing. And when they fail, they break the crank, which can take a lot with it. So for, what was cost me, I think about 70 bucks, it's worthwhile to replace your harmonic balancer when you're doing any engine work. Okay, one more thing here. A lot of people would be tempted to use a hammer to beat the harmonic balancer on. Sounds like a pretty bad idea to me, and I think most people think that way as well. And there's one really good reason why it's a bad idea, and that is that the thrust bearing, typically at the back of the engine, is taking the beating from that. And you can imagine that you're going to damage it by pounding on the harmonic balancer. Now, I don't have a wrench actually big enough for the nut on the harmonic balancer puller, but or actually installer, I should say. But as you can see, it's goes on pretty easy to just dial this thing on. Like, I'm hardly making any effort at all, and yet this is easily pulling that on. No fuss, no muss, and probably in a few short seconds here, this harmonic balancer is going to be on all the way. Now you have to kind of use your best judgment. I don't know what the rule of thumb is for how far it's supposed to go on, other than the fact that once, right there, I've hit the end of where it wants to pull, and I'm assuming it's bottomed up out against the flange on the crankshaft. It's right there. I'm not going to try and pull it any harder there. That little bit that it might not be pulled up against there will certainly be acceptable to use the nut to bring it completely tight against the crank. Okay, there we go. Installed in not more than friggin' 45 seconds here, I'd say. Well, it's showing 2 minutes on the camera. Whatever. There you go. Okay, so the harmonic balancer is back on. I'm going to put on the harmonic balancer pulley. And I suspect that it's probably a good idea to replace this at the same time that you replace your harmonic balancer, since this has a compliant material here. I'm going to call it rubber, that I assume is for some vibration isolation as well. The outer section of the pulley is separate from the inner section, it seems. Actually, yeah, you can see that the two pieces are separate. Rubber on the outside, and then you can see in the inside of the shaft there's actually rubber there as well. So it's completely isolated. Probably a good idea to replace this at the same time as well. Nothing special about it. It just bolts onto the front of the harmonic balancer, and we're good to go. Okay, so a bit of an oops here. I can't install the harmonic balancer pulley yet because I haven't painted the hardware for it yet. So I'm going to sandblast and paint the hardware, and while that's drying, I'm going to install the injector pump. Okay, so I didn't get the injector pump on yet. I've been doing a couple other things. I've been pulling some parts off of the van there, and because I'm scrapping that this week. And as well, I was pulling some parts off that 88 Buick that's sitting out there. But as much as anything, the thing I spent the most of the time on was Cavalettis. My wife and I spent a couple hours this afternoon working on these. They're just horse jumps that you can change the size on just by rolling them to a different position. Let's hope this guy here appreciates that. Probably he won't. I don't think he wants to work any harder. Yeah, you coming over to say hello? Nope, just some better grass over here. Just a final side note about this thing. Had some problems a couple of weekends ago after I went and I fixed or did some resoldering of some of the wires in the wiring harness where it was revving itself all on its own from about $1,500 to $3,000, and that turned out to be the throttle position sensor. So now this thing seems to be working a little bit better behaved. Hopefully that's the end of this stuff before the 72 4x4 is done.